I'm Heather.
I'm Natalie.
And we're two coaches from Loving Difference, an online membership community for everybody who's looking for new ways to live in their neurodiverse relationships. We are in the woods and it's raining, so if there's any camera splodges from the raindrops, I do apologise. And we were just reminiscing about how we met, and we thought we'd come along and talk about how our journey's been, really, and it still is ongoing, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And why we set up Loving Difference. So we're just going to ramble for a bit.
Yeah.
So
more about how we met.
Yeah. So when we first met, we were on a course. We'd both gone searching for answers, really. We'd both we'd realised that neurodiversity was part of our relationship.
That was an aha.
That was our first aha. Yeah, we got that aha. And then we went off and did loads and loads of research, read everything, lots of books, lots of videos, went on some courses, and still nothing really was kind of working or changing. Nothing was changing. And actually, I think it was making it worse, because I was making some suggestions that, you know, the problem was over here, and it was being heard quite defensively, understandably, from what I feel now.
We tried some things.
Yeah, we did try some
things. And they didn't last.
No,
so things got tried and then forgotten, and that was hugely frustrating.
Usually because I had a bit of a meltdown, maybe, and then it would change your behaviour for a bit. You know, because they were then trying to please, and then it would kind of
a lot of that.
So anyway, so we had that, and then we found a course at which we absolutely both independently, not knowing each other at all, had thought would solve all our problems.
Yes, it was going to be the magic wand, Heather.
It was magic wand. We were looking for our magic wand, thought we'd found it. It was very difficult for me to get away from the family at that point. It was big commitment, really huge. Big. I don't think I'd ever invested that sort of money in myself before, so that was new for me.
Yeah.
And then we went along and met a lot of other people in our same situation, which was validating.
Yeah.
So after that, so what next aha moment?
I think my next aha moment for me was starting to realise what I'd been bringing to the relationship, what I'd been doing also that hadn't been working. That was nothing to do with neurodiversity, but perhaps was complicated by that fact. But what I'd been doing. And one of the things I realised I'd been doing my whole relationship, and actually prior to that in my life generally, I was a people pleaser. And my people pleasing, I just hadn't really registered that as a problem. I didn't even really notice I was particularly doing it. But I had read quite a lot about the things that others do as defence sort of strategies, like meltdowns, shouting, shutdowns, very quiet, all those kind of things. I didn't recognise myself in any of those, so I think I assumed that I wasn't the problem.
So you weren't the one in defence, everyone else was?
Everybody else was, it wasn't me. Everybody was always feeling criticised, all that kind of stuff. And actually what I realised was that pleasing is a defence mode. I hadn't known that, and so I needed to unpack that and learn all about that, and started to work on recovering from being a people pleaser, learning more about myself. And that's where I started to realise that this really is the aha, is that actually I could find agency again. I could find autonomy and choice again in my relationship, and I started to feel really much more empowered than I did before. I wasn't reliant on somebody else changing something to change the relationship. I could make changes to myself, and that meant I had a better time, and ultimately actually did influence and impact the relationship too. Yeah,
I can really relate to that as well, because I think it was similar for me.
What was your aha?
So for me, I think it does come down to the same kind of people pleasing, but you could say that I didn't have any boundaries, really. I had so everyone seemed to have really high needs in the family, and I just became very accommodating. And even if those needs were in conflict, I was putting myself into situations which were really becoming really impossible to sustain, and we're using up a lot of energy. Just kind of trying to meet this here and meet this there and be this. And I think that a lot of that was wrapped up in my own stories about being the perfect wife and being the perfect mother and
all that.
So a lot of it was, you know, I was actually feeding into this kind of unhealthy pattern that was going on in the family, and there were 6 of us in one spot, or, you know, blended family in terms of neurodiversity, very different needs, and it was messy. I have to say, really, it was messy. So actually discovering that there was something that I was doing that looked so selfless
Yes.
and looked so, it felt like I was doing the right thing, but actually was creating problems.
Yeah. So there was definitely a combination, I think, of us starting to work on ourselves, look at our own needs, look at our well-being, recover from the exhaustion.
Yeah,
that was huge.
That was huge.
And finding ourselves again and getting to know who we are again, but at the same time realising that there was these patterns that we'd been falling into, these judgments we'd been making, that actually they were something we could do something about.
Yeah.
They really were something we could do something about.
I think it had a lot to do with perception as well, didn't it? Just really seeing that some of the things that I saw as judgments were actually my own sort of evaluations and judgments about myself. So they kind of triggered some really horrible reactions in me. So I think, but then knowing that those are things that I could work on.
Yeah, massive.
And it was all of a sudden, it was like, oh, actually, I can work on stuff myself. I'm not having to, I don't have to make a child do this differently, or I don't have to make my partner do this differently. It's just that I just have to actually focus in here.
We started to get happy.
We did. We started having fun.
Started having fun again. Started feeling emotionally resourced again. Started feeling hopeful again. Started feeling empowered again. Started feel like we could make decisions and choices again.
Huge.
Kind of magic. No magic wand, but there was magic.
There was definitely magic, and one of the most important things about that was our little group.
Yeah.
We all met on this course and pretty much stayed in touch.
Yeah. And did that work together?
Yeah, we've done the work together, and that has meant it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Because when one of us is feeling a bit like can't do this, it's not really going very well, there's one of us to pick up, and so that sense of community became really, that friendship became so important in this self-development work. And it's not, I have got some other amazing friends outside but we weren't on the same journey doing that self-development work, so it was really useful to have a crowd that were doing the same kind of things.
I realised it's really tough. I realised and I know it's really tough to do this recovery work, this self-development work on yourself when you don't have the support of your partner. You don't have the support of the closest people that you'd hope would be the ones that were supporting you, but actually making some of the changes you decide you need to make are actually not necessarily as well received as you want, but when you've got that support, you feel like you can keep going.
Gives you the courage, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
does give you more courage.
And then you grow in confidence. And actually then though, the other magic that I wasn't expecting, you weren't expecting, was when we did that work and we made those changes, beyond some of the uncomfortable times, there was ripple effects.
Yeah.
Ripple effects. So it does change the relationship.
Yep.
And it does change the family life, and things can get better. Yeah.
That's the just most rewarding thing I think about the whole journey is that, and it took a while, it wasn't overnight, but by doing the work on ourselves, what I found really important for me is I learnt to stay much better regulated. I'd done a lot of work on my history and the what triggers me and what judgments I think people are making about me, and it just meant that I was able to stay much calmer, and that labelled a lot less stress and anxiety in the household. I was much less reactive to all of their stuff, and and then gradually everyone just had a bit more space. We all had a bit more space to be who we needed to be. And I think that was the other thing as well. I think we changed our whole way of thinking around kind of the deficit pathologist sort of paradigm, and
actually,
just
if we're being ourselves, we got to a place where we wanted our partners, loved ones, children to be themselves. I didn't want to compromise and stop being me anymore, and so actually I didn't want that for anybody else in my household either.
Why would we want? What we didn't want is them to end up exhausted, because actually what they were doing is just pleasing your so
doing the same.
And then that didn't work out very well for us. So why would we want that for them? We wanted them to actually find their own gifts and to use those.
So I went on from this to start coaching. So I created a coaching business to coach individuals and couples where one partner or both have are neurodivergent. And I've been working on that for a few years. You've been doing some similar work as a coach and a support worker with families primarily. Yeah,
mainly with families who are struggling with the education system. So I have had experience of that personally, and a lot of also you get into that kind of hopeless state because it's a big system to shift, and it's gonna it's like trying to turn a tank around, aren't you? And so families are also feeling very powerless, hopeless, helpless. They don't really have much agency, because you just get, oh, but there's a waiting list. Oh, but that's how you can't do that. You know, you can't have you can't do that, and you just hear negativity all the time.
And it reminds me as well that everything I read at the time, and I think it's the same with the education system, is that there's no other way.
No,
that
it's this
way, and you just have to stay in it and survive it. And I remember just thinking at a point, I don't think we're here for surviving, Heather.
No.
I think we're here to thrive. I think all of us are here to thrive. And yeah, I think that I wanted to show, and for my kids too, who, I just wanted them to have a different story, was that actually the symptoms that we were experiencing when we first met actually are reversible. You don't have to leave the situation always in order to recover. Actually, if you can work on your own internal environment and figure that environment out first and do that work, then you're in the best position to make whatever decisions you want to about the relationship. But the fact that the way you felt at the beginning that we were actually is reversible. I mean, that is just, I didn't read that anywhere.
No,
that was just not possible.
I think resentment moves in.
Gosh, yeah.
A lot of that, a lot of anger.
But it can move out too.
But absolutely, yeah, and it can, and you can change your complete outlook to it, and you almost can't work out why it was you felt like that before. It's so radical, the change, isn't it?
Yeah. So the last 12 months, we've been working on a new project, Loving Difference, which came about a year ago as lockdown began. I knew that I was going to start. I just knew that going into that situation, in spite of all the tools and everything I already knew, things were going to get difficult in my relationship again, at home again, because I wasn't able to necessarily do all the things that I had learned and knew were really good for me. And I just knew that actually there's loads of other people out there who don't have any of those tools yet, don't have any of these insights yet. And I called up Heather and two other friends, Sarah and Kerry, about maybe putting something together, and been working on it a while, and now we have Loving Difference to invite people into, which is just a brilliant and unique space to be creating together.
Yeah, we really see it as a bridge, somewhere where we can just get everybody in, and we can learn from each other, and have really good conversations. And we've got a lot of featured articles. Coaches are in there a lot. We're commenting and participating. We've got lots of live sessions every week, communication and something about what we're talking about in our articles. We come up and opportunities for everyone to get together and have a chat about what resonated with them, and questions and stuff. Yeah. Meditation, we do loads and loads of stuff. So there's lots of lives, lots of articles, lots of tips, and everything that's been going on for the last year is in there to be accessed. Yeah, we know that I know from my practice, you know it from your work as well, that the restrictions that we've had this year have really brought to the surface a lot of and magnified almost a lot of the challenges that people have. Yeah. So we've really wanted to be able to reach out and reach more people so that they can find new ways to connect with their loved ones, but mainly firstly connect with themselves, and do that work. And I think the other really key thing in terms of Loving Difference is this combination of professional support, coaching that gives you those new perspectives, new strategies, new tools, new ways of seeing things, because it's without that you do the hamster wheel. You just keep going round and round, and what you need is a new way to see what you're in. And when you've got a new way to see, you can find a new way to be and do it. And that combination of the coaching or professional support together with the community and with other people that are on exactly the same path as you, keen and wanting to find those new ways, is kind of the magic wand. It's the kind of the magic wand that we were looking for all that time ago. And all the research shows that put those two things together, professional support and peer support, you've got a winning combo. And I think it just gives you a safe and held space to start getting curious about this stuff, and meet some people, and in a really compassionate environment. So come and join us. So somewhere around this video there'll be a link to Loving Difference. Come and find us. 14-day free trial. There's no contracts. You can stay as long as you want to. You can come back when you need to. We'd love to see you there. Hope to see you. Bye. ask you, Natalie, what was your aha moment?
You haven't said how we met or anything yet. And it's a memory.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Heather.
I'm Natalie.
And we are two coaches from Loving Difference, a new online membership community for... Hello, I'm Heather.
I'm Natalie.
And we are two of the four coaches in Loving Difference. So we are...
I had been reading all sorts of things about nice rain spots.
Hello! Hello! Look, we're out.
We're in the same place, same time, with a hot chocolate. Roof's open, we're fully ventilated. Talk, woman. This is really bad.
Hang on now, because she's a